Hello, everybody. So I'm bringing you a little bit different of a message today. Most likely, if you are already subscribed to my channel or you're finding this video, you associate me with being a tarot reader and being a spiritual practitioner, and that is very true and well. But with the trend right now of, hashtag Me Too, hashtag Time Is Up, why we wear black, I felt called to speak on briefly my life prior to getting into spiritual practice, as well as, what I did before you all found me and joined me on this journey. So for those of you that don't know, I was a chef and worked in the restaurant business for over a decade. I was also raised in the restaurant business. And anyone that has worked in food service probably has experienced the fact that not only is sexual harassment prevalent, like it is clearly everywhere, it is also heavily normalized in a way that you would not find elsewhere. I experienced this since I was a child. I would watch cooks interact with front of the house staff and vice versa in a just highly sexual manner, from jokes to touching to everything, as well as very derogatory name calling that never seems to get taken personally. So obviously that gave me an impression of this is normal. This is what people do. And when you experience an environment like that, you obviously also adapt and you make sexual comments and you do different things to fit in and be a part of the group. Now, I say that because there are going to be people that watch this will say, well, didn't you participate? Well, didn't you make sexual comments? Yeah, I did. And women that watch this also can probably relate to the fact that there have been times in your career or in your workplace that you felt if you did not participate in a sexual toned circumstance in the same manner that you were being approached with, that nothing, that you couldn't really, overcome the situation. I've been in scenarios where I've been sexually harassed at every single job that I've worked. I've never not been sexually harassed, with the exception of the one time I was a bank teller, and I would think that it's probably because I worked with all women. So there becomes this power dynamic that you feel you need to feed into. And I think this is where the rise of the divine feminine is really drawing the line with the toxic masculinity that has been perpetuated. And obviously, there has been toxic femininity. There has been this, and this is very Scorpio, and we have Jupiter in Scorpio right now. There has been this previous overtone that in order to claim power, you must use, as women, as divine feminine, you must use your sexual prowess to draw the line. For me, not only did I work in the front of the house, but I also used to work in the back of the house. And at a very young age, I became a high level in the kitchen. And obviously, most kitchens are primarily men. I was obviously met with a lot of animosity, a lot of disdain for my position at such a young age. And that came with a lot of me needing to prove that I was one of the guys, to prove that, I was down, to prove that I earned it. As if me receiving that job wasn't enough. And not only did I need to prove it to my coworkers, I needed to prove it to my bosses, who also used sexual references to, not only sexual references, but just sexism, to, again, make it clear that regardless of what position I was given or what I was there to do, men were superior. There have been times, which I'm sure all women can relate to, where you said, you know what, I'm not going to put up with this behavior anymore. I'm going to say something to the manager. The one time I complained to management about a fellow staff member sexually harassing me to the point that it was inflicting upon my job, that I couldn't execute my job properly. And if you've worked in a kitchen, you know that time and group camaraderie is very important to execute and deliver dishes. I was told that I was asking for it. I was told that I was participating in it and that it was just as much my fault as his, and we both got written up. I was told that if I don't like how they talk to me, I can quit. Let's see. At another job, I used to be locked in the walk-in with a fellow coworker where my male coworker would kiss my neck, grab my butt, do all types of things that were beyond inappropriate. And I got to the point where one day I just slapped him in the face. And he answered back with, Mommy, I like that. And then I went to that manager, which this ended up being the last kitchen that I worked in. This was in 2014. And because the manager scolded him, because the state I was working in was a lot more strict with sexual harassment policies. I was working in California. So those of you that live in California know that there's a lot more protection for employees with adverse behavior. He then, because he got in trouble, isolated me and would not communicate with me at all at work. And again, that caused a huge rift in me having the ability to execute my job. So needless to say, I ended up leaving the restaurant industry, not because I wanted to really. I just was so sick of having my boundaries blown out the water. And it just seemed like I couldn't do anything to change it. A local restaurant, well, he doesn't own a restaurant anymore. A local restaurant owner where I live, where my friend used to work, we were sitting there having breakfast one day, and he also happens to be a town selectman, which is like, you know, a low-level town councilman. He comes out. I was still a chef at the time. He comes out, and he's conversing with my friend and I. And he's like, oh, so you're a chef, you know, where do you work, blah, 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 blah. I tell him, and sexual harassment came up as a topic. And his response was, well, you know, that's just part of the job. This was a man that worked for the government on the side. So I'm here to say collectively on an energetic level, like regardless of what stories, regardless of who says sorry, regardless of what laws get passed, the collective consciousness energy, the astrological influencing energy says time is up. Time is up with people diminishing our power, thinking that they can wield some weird penis phallic control module over us. And we're also no longer needing to feel like we need to prove why we deserve their respect, why we deserve to not be talked to like that, not be touched like that, not make groping part of your 9 to 5, and while you're collecting a paycheck that is at least $4 less an hour than your counterpart, who has less responsibility. Because to be honest, I miss food. Food is a part of me. I have been dreaming about returning to the restaurant industry in some capacity. But I obviously love what I do. I love my spiritual work. And obviously food and the way that we heal our body and treat our body, they are very much intertwined. And I bring this up because in the future, I will be incorporating food in what I do in the kitchen and how, you know, that all meshes with my spiritual practice. But that's probably the one area that I'm still bitter. And I think a lot of women have been unable to achieve their pinnacle of their career the way they have desired because of these type of outside influences that they really had no control over. And we don't like to talk about that in the spiritual community, like actual influences we have no control over, because, you know, it kind of negates what we know on a metaphysical level. But here we are in 3D. Here we are needing to deal with things like that. And sometimes it really feels like you're trapped. Like there's nothing you can do to change a situation. I know that's what it felt like for me, so I left. And I was lost. I was so lost. I couldn't understand why the universe was closing the door on me for something that was such a big part of me. But I also know that since I have left that industry and just what has happened for me in general in my personal life, my views on sex and power, this is such a Scorpio thing, have drastically shifted. Jupiter, or not only Jupiter, but Saturn was in Scorpio around this time frame too, 2013, 2015, which is when I decided to leave. And now that we're coming into, now, you know, Saturn has moved into Capricorn, which is in its home. So we're talking about government. We're talking about power structures. We're talking about how, where we draw the line. And this trine Scorpio, expanding upon the dirt, what has been suppressed to the point that people thought they could lock it up and throw away the key, and it's not the case. And by 2020, it's gonna be real, But what's gonna be more real is the communities and the groups of support that have been created online and locally in a grassroots form to not create, or rather not allow this to continue. We're gonna see the resurgence of community in a way that we never have before. We're not needing the man. We're not needing, men in general. And when I say men in general, I mean toxic masculinity. Because there are plenty of lovely men walking this earth that believe in ethics, including one that I have a bracelet on right now. Shout out to Washington Aesthetic. My very good friend owns that brand, and he is a man that is in alignment with respecting women. So we're going to see a shift. And it's not necessarily with women in general, but it's with the divine feminine. And it's allowing us to understand our power without needing to always assert it. And our power speaking before we even open our mouth. There's a quiet roar. There's a rumbling to a person, right, of the divine feminine that knows its power and where it's rooted. So time is up, friends. Time is up for situations that make you song and dance like a monkey to show your worth. Like, the little monkey with the symbols that used to be in like movies, right? Is it called a grinder? It's just time is up. Time is up. And I sit here in black with all my sisters, with all the people that know that disrespecting another human being is like low level, disgusting behavior. To the people that feel they need to assert their power through sexual prowess, ask yourself, when's the last time you felt loved? When's the last time you felt like someone understood you? When's the last time you felt appreciated? And if you can't remember, it's time to turn inward, my friend. Because continuing to hammer away at everything outside of you to get what you want is over. At the beginning of 2017, the word that I got, or rather the phrase and theme that I got for the year was feel your way through. Action is important, but if we don't know where our action is coming from, if we don't know the place that it has sparked and birthed in our being, what it feels like, it's going to be very difficult to go forward. And the people that are showing us successful right now in this collective are leading with their feelings before their head. Divine feminine over the divine masculine. The divine masculine is the action counterpart. They are necessary in connection. They are necessary in union in one body. However, it seems as though the divine masculine leads because they are the acting person. However, it's really the divine feminine that leads because they receive the spark. They drum up all the energy and they hand it to the divine masculine and they create it. Okay? So, huge shout out to every woman that has experienced any form of sexual harassment, misconduct, just overall just being treated like you had no say, like you had no ability to draw a line, like you couldn't say no. Because I know there's plenty of women out there that really felt like they couldn't say no. I know I've been one. I've been someone that participated in a lot of stuff that deep down I felt like I couldn't say no, no matter what they said to me. Okay? So I'm here to tell you, as your sister, as your friend, as your fellow human that wants better, that it's coming. And it seems like we got to fight and struggle for it, but we don't. All we have to do is own what we know as truth and let that speak for us before we even open our mouth. Because the people that you see people grasping for power. You know what it feels like. Then there's other people that seem so powerful and you're like, wow, how did they get like that? How did they get so, how did they get like that? How do they radiate like that? A lot of people ask me that, and I'm like, really? Little old me? And what I can tell you is that comes from just knowing yourself and knowing that you don't need anyone outside of yourself to define what you are, what you do, and what you're here to handle. So I love you all, and I am forever an ally. I am forever walking forward with the desire and necessary intention for autonomy, at the same time running in a collective consciousness. Community is coming back. Support the people that you love. Support the people that you respect. Spend your dollar in the local place over Walmart, over whomever. It will go so tenfold into the future vibrationally. Okay? Because all we have is us. Okay? This perceived sense of government and control and structure that has been wielded over us is all a fallacy. And we're going to see that in the next 2 years. So know that you are the savior you have always been looking for. And no one has to give you permission to save yourself. And when you save yourself, you're going to find 10 people that are right behind you that have also saved themselves, that want to be on your squad. Okay? So I love you all. This is why we wear black.